Hello, my name is Ines. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. The sun's just coming past my window, so it's casting a weird shadow on my face. And it is -40, so as usual, we are in our blanket still. Okay, a couple things I wanted to talk about today are kind of three main topics altogether. So one thing I wanted to talk about eventually, is the difference between self-love and self-care. And this ties into interdependence, and then it also ties into the self-journey, your own spiritual journey, or the journey of your soul. So first off, what I want to say, let me get cozy. Okay, so today I'm going to cover basically like three topics, but they all intertwine into one. So happy February, we are celebrating ourselves, we are celebrating love in whatever form that means for you. And today I want to talk about the difference between self-love and self-care, and that ties into interdependence, which is, in my opinion, the top three, or the final of the top three prompts of self-therapy. And this all ties into how to explore your soul and how to start on this self-journey. So first, right off the bat, self-love and self-care. Self-love is when you literally have love for all things that are you. So when you're fully authentic in your own being, you love the things you create, you love the person that you are. Even in your bad times, you love yourself. It's all to do with your emotional processing, and it has a lot to do with your mindset. A lot of us tend to be very nitpicky about things about us, whether it's in our own opinion, stuff we've heard from society, or stuff that's been said by other people to us. And a lot of these things can actually program our mentality and our mindset to work against us. So a lot of people don't have self-love because there's certain things about them that they're either ashamed of, or that they're uncomfortable facing or talking about, or there's parts of them that they aren't authentic in. And a lot of the times you're wearing some sort of mask. Either you're not being honest and vulnerable with your emotions, or open in vulnerability. And when you're wearing a mask, a lot of the times you get into kind of like the people pleasing. And then self-care is affected because when you don't love yourself, when you constantly nitpick at yourself, your care for yourself, your care for your temple tends to decrease. So basically, self-love and self-care do go hand in hand, but they are different. The self-care part is the actual physical caring for yourself. And this is where we talk about my body, my house is a temple, and you have to take care of it and whatnot. When you don't take care of your body, of your physical or your emotional or your mental states, this tends to kind of ooze into the self-love portion, and they do work hand in hand. I feel like the reason why you should separate them with anything that you do in regards to your own self-journey and processing your emotions and just learning about yourself, separating these two actually helps you target what or where the issue is. For me, for example, I loved everything I created. I loved how creative and artsy I was, but I didn't quite understand how to be fully expressive and be my full authentic self. And that's when I realized that one of the reasons why I kind of let myself go and didn't care about myself as much, like I stopped doing my makeup, I stopped dressing nice. There's other things on top of it as well, but it's really because I lost myself. I lost who I was authentically, and that leads me into interdependence. So while I was losing myself and losing my self-love and my self-care, and while I was working on getting that back, I realized I had become a people pleaser. I was looking into other people's approvals and opinions of me, and I just lost myself, and I didn't know how to validate myself And that was one of the things that started allowing me to work on interdependence. Now, I'm on like both extremes where I can be very dependent on other people to validate me, to tell me I'm good at things, to approve my art, to approve my creativity. And it started getting to the point where I couldn't justify, or I couldn't validate myself and say, I love this art, this is totally me, I don't care if other people like it, I'm still gonna post it. It got very much to me criticizing myself because I relied on validation from others, and I was very nitpicky about things because I was like, well, no one's gonna like this, but I didn't know that. I just had this kind of inner dialogue of, no one's gonna validate my creativity, it's not worth it. And then I was also hyper independent. And hyper independence means that you're very much, now I'm a Virgo. So it's very much like no one can do it like me. It's either me or no one else. And I feel like those two thinkings, when I didn't get validation from somebody else from the outside world that I was dependent on, it really pushed me to my other extreme, which is hyper independence. And I started thinking, well, I can do everything myself, I'm fine doing everything myself, I don't need help. And it would just constantly be like a war in my head and like a tug at myself, because there was no alignment within myself. There was no middle ground. And this is where interdependence is important. Interdependence is also a lot about your own authentic self. It is about loving yourself regardless of who you are, not needing other people's validation, but allowing yourself to be inspired and influenced by others. Still, however, being very self-thought, like being able to critically think for yourself. And I find a lot of people don't have that. Just being able to be comfortable in your own opinions. It's like we constantly want to people please because we want to fit in, but then a bunch of us are introverts that don't really care, but then we kind of do this validation thing. But anyways, interdependence works a lot with the self-love, self-care, and the self-journey. Your spiritual journey, I feel like people don't understand how in-depth it actually really is. So your spiritual journey is trying to figure and find out all the soul parts of you. And if you take into account just this life and all of our mental and emotional health that we kind of have to process and figure out and learn, and then if you take into account any of the past lives we've lived, and then you try to work on that, then you kind of start getting the visual of how big this whole spiritual journey really is. And the spiritual journey is quite literally trying to understand and figure out your spirit. So with those things, I feel like a lot of the times when we don't want to tap into higher parts of ourselves, or we kind of get stuck, or like we don't want to do shadow work, a lot of the times it's because we're not yet ready to reveal certain flaws about ourselves, or certain things that we need validation on from others. So basically, if you want to do the spiritual game, it's really about figuring out who you are. So start working on your own interdependence, start working on your self-love and self-care, and then start exploring your spirit in both the forms of, you know, like past life stuff, your energy work. What kind of energy do you like working with? Can you see energy? How is it that you actually even talk to spirits? What does spirituality mean to you? I feel like there's so many people that talk about spirituality, and there's a lot of people that talk about manifestation, but nobody quite understands the full spirituality game that we're in now. This ascension process isn't just about ourselves, it's also about our community. So this great awakening, this great reset, it's also about going back to our spiritual selves and understanding that while there's a physical version of us, there's also a spiritual version. And like everything, it's all connected. So if you want to work on your physical, which kind of ties into self-care, if you're unable to do so, you have to look within your spirit. What is keeping your spirit in a block or stuck? And then start from there, and then you can dive deeper in with your shadow work. Shadow work is tough. Inner child healing is very tough as well, and that's where that interdependence kind of helps you. As you heal those things, it helps you get more power into your interdependence. So that's it for now. So that's just a quick description of the final part of interdependence, and that's going to lead us more into the self-care, self-love, which we're doing for the rest of the month of February. Oh my god, that sounds so weird. Which we are doing for the rest of the month for February. I don't like that word. And we are also exploring ourselves. So start with your emotions, start with your shadows, and just start journaling about your emotions. What are some things that give you shame? What are some things that you love about yourself? And start evaluating and analyzing yourself, and pay attention to your mindset. Like, pay attention to the way you think of or talk to yourself. Are you very happy, or are you very cynical? Do you put yourself down, or do you think you're the shit? Do you turn yourself on, or do you hate looking at pictures and videos of yourself? All of these things help you understand more about yourself, and then every time you have questions or you're curious about something about yourself, dive deep. Go discover your soul, go discover parts of yourself. If you have any questions, or if you want me to get deeper into anything specific, leave it in the comments. And if you like this video, hit like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!